Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Every fortnight we get together to talk about movies, TV and online content and help you answer the question, would Episode 9, Yes It All Really Happened, be the best Star Wars title they could come up with to release at Star Wars Celebration this week?
No, the best title I've heard someone tweet is, I can't remember who said it now, so I can't credit them, but it was Episode 9, A Star Wars Story.
Yes, so I'm your host, Ashley Hobley, and joining me is Dylan Blythe.
Hello.
And also joining us is Nicholas Pryor.
That's me. I've come out of my hibernation shell to be on an episode of a show.
But you're always on the
What do
show.
you mean your hibernation show? You're on a fucking weekly show at the moment. And you're on this
Am I,
show pretty
though?
much every episode.
Is that going to continue after this episode? Who knows?
Viewing Gods. Check it out at youtube.com/Explosion Network to see Nick break down every week. I don't know. I need to catch slowly break.
The show goes like this. How do you feel about the episode, Nick? Yeah, I didn't like it too much. But then we proceed to have an hour of good conversation about it nonetheless. Where he's like, oh yeah, that's an interesting point. That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. I swear every episode is him going, I don't like this episode. And then by the end of it, it's him going, you know, Dylan, now that you've brought up some interesting topics and stuff to do with the episode, I like it a little bit more than I did before.
Maybe you're just very convincing.
Viewing Gods.
We shall see.
Viewing Gods, American Gods.
All right, we got a big episode. We're going to be talking about some of the stuff we've been watching. Then we've got some film news we need to talk about, and then we're going to end up talking about the movie we ended up watching, Battle Royale. The movie
Call of Duty, Fortnite,
PUBG.
The PUBG.
PUBG the movie.
2000. Yep. That's what it is. Battle Royale 2000. All right, let's kick off with what's in our watch history. Me and Dylan, we both watched Shazam. Or Shazam!
Shazam!
The new DC superhero movie. If you go to youtube.com/Explosion Network, you can check out our review discussion. It is spoiler filled. So Dylan, do you want to just give us a quick overall thoughts?
DC is on the upturn. They're doing some interesting things with their films finally, and it's good. It's a good movie. It's a decent movie. The comic booky element of it is kind of crap. The villain done nothing for me. But then the other side of the movie, which is basically Tom Hanks is big, but with a superhero, is great and quite funny.
Yeah.
It looked like from the trailer as Mark Strong was playing Mark Strong.
Yep, he's playing the same villain he played in anything he's played a villain in, pretty much.
And that's me, and that was me and Ash's problem with it. So yeah.
Yep. So I think there was a few issues. Obviously, it's getting high praise. It's being loved all over the place. If you want to see my thoughts, it's over at explosionnetwork.com. My review of Shazam is up there. I gave it like a 7. I think there was
you literally gave it a 7.
Did I though?
I gave it like a 7.
Yeah, there's some issues, some underdevelopment things, and some things were just glossed over. I had issue with, which apparently other people did. So there's that. Both you and Dylan and Nick watched Us.
Who's you and Dylan and Nick?
Once again, that sentence was amazing. Both you and Dylan and Nick watched Us. Like, even with Us as the movie title, in that entire sentence is the most fucking confusing thing. Yeah, me and Nick did watch the movie.
So you and Nick watched Us, Dylan. What did you think?
Who did me and Dylan watch?
Us. Who's Us? We're making the most corny jokes because of the fucking movie title, and I'm sure no one's made it all, but that's fine. Us is really great. I think it's all right. Well, I gave it like I actually don't remember my score. I think it was like an 8.5. Maybe it was an 8.5. I think I can't actually remember. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think the performances are great. It's got a fantastic score. It's got fantastic cinematography. I think it's Jordan Peele kind of doing, like, I thought Get Out was good. I didn't think it was as good as everyone else because everyone was praising it a lot higher than I was. I enjoyed Get Out. I think this movie is way better than Get Out because I think it's kind of Jordan Peele. It's like kind of. I feel like saying this is the same as calling games like Soulsborne when they're just because of certain genre type stuff, but I feel like it's Jordan Peele doing his most Kubrickian type stuff because it's very. There's lots of red herrings, and I'm sure when you watch it the second time, I'm going to be spotting things left, right, and center because I just feel like there's a million and one little details that are spread throughout the entire movie, either to do with hints at the plot that's coming or to do with the movie's theme. Because the movie is less about the actual plot that's happening and more about the theme that it's covering, which I can see people hating because it's like I feel like it's more of a theatrical movie, less than like a straightforward horror movie, you know? Like it's more you got to pay attention to the smaller details, I guess, to get the full effect of it. But I love it. I love it.
I'm not as hot on it. I think it's a perfectly serviceable movie, horror movie, I guess. I get that it's trying to make it's a metaphor for whatever someone interprets it as, but for me, the internal logic of the actual movie itself doesn't work. Like, I think it has to be a good movie to begin with before it is also that next level above at the meta level, trying to metaphors and all that kind of stuff. I just don't think the base level itself worked quite for me. But I agree, the performances were great and the setting and the music and all that I really liked, but just, the whole internal logic of the movie itself didn't work.
Well, I did say in my review that there are plot holes, and I was aware of them by the end. But being aware of them by the end of the movie, I was still just like, I honestly don't even really care at this stage of the little tiny plot holes I was thinking about because I just enjoyed the overall experience. I wouldn't say you spot the plot holes until like the last quarter or at least halfway over the movie or at some point when they start delving more into the like tying all the things together. But up until a certain point, it's kind of like what I thought the movie was going to be from the trailers, which is The Strangers, but it's not.
Yeah,
it goes a completely different route.
It very defied my expectations going into it from what
because the trailers give away nothing, I would say. The trailers are like the first half hour, I suppose, if that. Because judging off the trailers, I was always like, okay, so it's like The Strangers, but they're clones of themselves that turn up at their house and terrorize them or something like that.
I also thought the pacing was a little bit hit and miss for me as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you like Get Out more then?
I like it a bit better, but I don't think it's fantastic either.
What do you think of Lupita Nyong'o's performance? Because I've seen nothing but praise for that.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Academy Award worthy?
Well, she won't get it because it's a horror movie and they don't award. They don't.
But it's a Jordan Peele horror movie. They get nominated for that.
Well, maybe. Yeah, no, she is fantastic because it's like she has to play obviously two characters, and the both characters are so distinctly different from one another that you kind of forget it even if it's the same person. But I could say the same for the other three actors as well.
Yeah.
Like the family. Even the kids do such a fantastic job. Like the little girl, for instance, is just kind of this girl that's constantly walking around on her phone, and then when her evil clone, whatever you want to refer to it as, turns up, she just has this giant evil fucking scary smile that she puts on constantly, like really creepy and stuff. It doesn't even seem like the same actress at all.
No, it doesn't.
And the guy, because what's his name?
Guy
M'Baku.
from Black Panther.
Yeah, I can never remember his name. Yeah, M'Baku. He's great, and he's like the comedic element for the movie because he plays this.
I found him incredibly relatable.
He's just like this dorky dad, is what he is. Like he's out on the speedboat and it's fucking stalling and all these things at the start of the movie, and there's that part there. Well, slight spoiler for like the first 15 minutes where he's like trying to get ready to get it on with his wife, and he's kind of just laying there on the bed, but he's a really big dude and the bed's small, and it's just like, it's quite funny. And then when his other version comes in, they somehow make him seem so much taller and so much more
imposing,
buff, just the way they're shooting it, and he's standing and producing himself because he also has like a beard and everything. So the whole family is great, but Lupita stands out, of course.
Even the supporting cast I thought was pretty good as well.
Elizabeth Moss was great. Yeah.
Cool. You both also watched Pet Sematary. Nick, what'd you think?
I'm in two minds of it. if it was its own standalone thing, I think it'd be a decent horror movie, but as an adaptation of a fantastic story, it misses all the beats of that story's trying to tell, all the nuances, even just the message of grief and family conflict and that. It just skips over all of it, and the pacing feels like it went quicker than the fucking trucks in the movie. It was just fucking just fucking right in your face. Did not slow at iota.
Yeah. So I think I remember this one. I gave it a 6.5, explosionnetwork.com. You're 100% right. It was like a plus and a negative at how fast paced it was. Because by the end of the movie, it was a big negative to me because they never got a moment to ever build the characters.
None of what happened felt earned at all.
Yeah. And because they don't have moments to build the characters, it makes the last third of the movie not work for me because you do need to feel attachment to certain characters and things for it to work, especially on the metaphorical level when you're talking about life, death, what's it mean, all these sorts of things.
The book is more about the family, whereas they've made this movie about the supernatural thing itself, that wasn't the whole point of the whole story to begin with.
The plus for how fast it is while you're watching it, because I didn't start thinking about my negatives until it was over.
Yeah.
Because the plus is that it's kind of constantly go from the moment the movie starts. It's like, this is scary, and I'm like, it is kind of like freaky, off-putting from the moment it starts. It's just like, this is a place where you don't want to be, and I'm like, you're right, this isn't a place where I want to be, because you'd certainly make me feel that. But because it moves so fast, I never started picking up on my negatives really till the end of the movie, so that's kind of a ways out.
I think you're a bit higher opinion on it than me too, because I went in with that bias of having read the book, and I had the expectations of what I wanted from it as well.
But even without reading the book,
and
understanding like changes they made from the original movie and stuff, they set themselves up for such a good, like, to be able to do really cool things, especially with what they changed between the original book and the original movie.
Yeah.
And that just offers them up the ability to do really cool things character-wise, but then they don't. It's like they made the decision to do a cool change, but then do nothing with it at all. And
John
I'm like,
Lithgow was wasted in it as well.
He's fucking fantastic, though.
He's good, yeah, but he was good acting, but the role itself was not great.
Oh, the role had fuck all to it, really. But he basically is one of the reasons to watch this movie, I feel, because he's just kind of, I wouldn't say carries it, because the rest of the cast is good. No one really stands out particularly apart from him and the main girl actress to me. But John Lithgow stands out from this movie a lot. Like, it'd be fine. I feel like my score would probably go down, maybe a 0.5 or something like that, if it didn't have him in it, because I just felt like whenever he was on screen, he was just this presence constantly. Like, I was just like out acting everyone.
You've heard that, producers. John Lithgow is worth 0.5 of a rating for you.
Yeah. I
just
hate
chuck
saying
him in
things where
anything.
Yeah. He's really good, though.
Cool. So watch Dumbo, the new Tim Burton film that's a live-action adaptation of the old Dumbo film from 1941.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not great. I think I wrote down in my notes, bland. Cute elephants. At least it's not racist. Yeah, so it is. It's not great. Yeah, there was just none of the characters were interesting. They shifted the focus from like I think in the original it's meant to be, it was like a mouse and obviously Dumbo sort of teaming up together to teach Dumbo how to fly so he could be part of the circus. But then this is just throwing a bunch of human characters in. None of them who were terribly interesting. The only one I really liked was probably Eva Green as like a sassy trapeze artist. She at least had some personality. But yeah, everybody else. Danny DeVito was kind of interesting at the start, but sort of fizzled out and just didn't really feature at all for the most of the film. But yeah, the CGI or whatever to make the actual Dumbo character was really good. He is really adorable. They do the balloon bubble scene, but they do it in a better way that isn't going to give kids nightmares. Yeah.
Gave me fucking nightmares.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense because in the original, the mouse and Dumbo like accidentally drink a bunch of alcohol, and that's why they have like a nightmare. about that. So this is just like he's watching like a bubble. They do like a bubble show as part of the circus, and it's like a bunch of like elephants, and it's really cute. And then Dumbo's just nodding his head along, and that was probably the best part of the movie because he was adorable, just nodding along.
No Michael Keaton? No good?
Michael Keaton, he's fine. He plays an okay bad guy. I mean, he does things that don't make sense, which were annoying.
That's Michael Keaton.
Yeah. He's pretty much what he's like, the character that he ended up as at the end of The Founder. Which is interesting, having seen The Founder not long ago. Personally, yeah. So, yeah, Dumbo, that was okay. Nick, I saw you went and watch Captain Marvel.
Yep.
In preparation for Endgame.
I did. Stacey was working overtime one Saturday, so I thought I may as well go out and check it out.
Yeah? What do you think?
I really could have gone without seeing it, to be honest.
Ooh.
That's half the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, like I felt the urgency to go see this one because of its proximity to Endgame, but yeah, like now having seen it, I wish I had waited to home video. It was perfectly serviceable fucking Marvel movie. Brie Larson was good, but I thought her character was just fucking bland. Just so bland. Most of the characters I found bland. I think the only thing that saved it for me personally was the Skrulls.
Yeah.
They
are the best part.
Yeah, they are, but and the de-aging on Samuel L. Jackson, it was weird to get used to begin with, but then I kind of like fell into it and didn't think about it. But every time Coulson showed up, he just looked like a wax figure. I just couldn't get my head around Coulson.
That's what Clark Gregg looked like back then.
Yeah, but it just looks so fake to me. I don't know.
That's what he looked like back then.
He's a fake person.
Honestly, like a month after watching it, whenever I think about Captain Marvel, I just think about, I'm like, what was my favorite part of Captain Marvel a month out? I'm like, Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah.
That's the best part of the movie.
That was it. Even I found all the Creed, like Jude Law and all them, that mob, like, I just found boring, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't hold it anywhere near the top pantheon of Marvel films.
I would put it, I think I said I'd like chuck it in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
Probably.
Cool. So I went and saw the teen romance drama, 5 Feet Apart, which is
this one.
Yep. Which sees Haley Lou Richardson and Cole Sprouse play two young patients with cystic fibrosis who try to have a relationship despite always being forced to stay a certain distance away from each other. Yeah, it was really good. It's not like a great, fantastic movie. It's what you expect it to be. The two leads are very charming. It was interesting. Obviously, I learned a hell of a lot more about cystic fibrosis through this than I have through anything else. And yeah, and oh man, it was a tearjerker. There were moments, man, but to be expected, given it's a hospital. It's set pretty much exclusively in a hospital. The other sort of lead, Moses Arias, coincidentally Rico from Hannah Montana, for you people who watched that back in the day. He was really good as like her best friend, and yeah, I thought it was good. Probably don't need to see it in the cinema though. Probably wait till it comes out on a streaming service.
Not watch it at all.
Or no, it's just support these mid-level films, you know? Otherwise, we're not going to see them in cinemas anymore.
Yeah.
So
Netflix is killing cinemas.
I did go like a 3:30 session, and there was like a bunch of school kids coming in after school on a Friday. So that was...
Oh, now you mention it, it brought up a point because I saw Pet Sematary today, and it was the worst screening I've ever fucking sat through because... I don't know, it was a 12:20 session because I took my grandma to see it. And it was just full of old people and they just kept on talking the whole way through. The guy behind me
that's not the way I expected this to go.
No, it was worse. It was awful. Like, I've been to cinemas full of school kids and they've been more respectful of everyone else than all these fucking old bats seeing this.
That's because they can't hear each other talk, so they don't tell each other shut up.
Well, they just don't fucking talk at all.
They don't know
Why
they're
do you
talking.
stick your granny on them? Gran, fucking sick him.
Oh, you old bat.
They're your people.
Yeah.
No, grandma's not like them.
No. All right. Nick, I saw you've watched Alien Specimen and Alien Containment. What are they?
Apparently, there's a series of 6 short films that have been released exclusively on IGN's YouTube channel, but they're in celebration of 40 years of Alien. So they're done by like little up and coming directors and filmmakers and stuff. I think they're both about 10 minutes each. What was it? Specimen was really, really good. It was it went places I didn't think it was going to go. Like it was, I can't really talk a lot about it without giving it away, but it's a lot better than the other one I watched, which was Containment, which was just a basic locked room short horror thing, like can't trust anyone, which is the only thing that made it sort of watchable. There was in the Alien IP, but other than that, like it wasn't fucking fantastic. But there's still 4 more to come out, I believe, and I don't know what the schedule on that is.
Oh, okay, so they're still being released.
Yeah.
Cool.
I didn't even know about it. I was just scrolling through YouTube one day and it came up and I was like,
Yeah.
Might watch that, yeah.
Cool. So I watched another couple of documentaries on DocPlay. Just before my free trial is set to expire. I watched Rock and Roll Nerd and Matilda and Me. These 2 documentaries about the comedian Tim Minchin. I think I'd seen Rock and Roll Nerd like ages ago, which pretty much follows him as he's coming up, like his first sort of proper run at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, and then his run over at Edinburgh, which sort of set up his career pretty much. It was really interesting look at like how those shows are run and how much is at stake and how much the publicity of and ratings and that stuff sort of affects the comedians over there. And then later on sort of going to setting up his second show, because the first show was obviously all his work that he'd spent years and years putting together. So yeah, the Rock and Roll Nerd, really good. Obviously if you like Tim Minchin, you're going to be biased towards him and want to like this. The other one is Matilda and Me, which sort of is it's pretty much a 50-minute ad for the Matilda musical that was running in Melbourne. I think possibly still, but I feel like it was a couple of years ago. Pretty much just an informational piece about how he got involved in the project and what the process was like and that sort of thing. It gives the impression that the Melbourne debut is where it originated, because they don't talk about its run on Broadway or its run over in West End in England or anything. So I feel like that was a bit misleading, but it was an interesting look at it, and sort of you see behind the scenes sort of stuff and the rehearsals and that kind of thing. So if you're a bit of a theatre nerd, I guess it'd be interesting to have a look at.
I've watched Rock and Roll Nerd. I like that. It's good.
Yeah.
I've watched the other one though.
Dylan, you watched The Greatest Showman, the Hugh Jackman. I can't remember the name of the character.
there's a whole it's it's gonna kill me now, because after I watched it last night, I was reading the good old Wikipedia page, because of course I wasn't inspired to.
Apparently he was a garbage human.
Yeah, that's the thing that I find. Oh, P.T. Barnum. There we go.
P.T. Barnum.
All right, so P.T. Barnum, which also that person has popped up in other random things as portrayed by people or mentioned, like in stuff that's set around this time period and stuff. I think he actually shows up with fucking gangs in New York at some point, or is at least mentioned or something.
I need to watch that again.
It's a great movie. Greatest Showman. If you're looking for a P.T. Barnum bio movie that shows you what he was really like, this is the complete opposite. This is like more or less taking the idea of P.T. Barnum and the origin of the circus and things, and just turning it into a fun-going movie, which I was perfectly fine with. And they do try their best to separate it, because it never mentions, like, the movie doesn't open based on the true story or anything like that. It doesn't end with any P.T. Barnum went on to it really just makes it out like it's fictional, because it basically is fictional. So I kind of appreciate they don't try and bullshit in that sort of fashion. So as the movie it is, as a fictional movie about the origin of the circus, it's really, really good, especially if you like musicals. I was reading some more about it where it said Hugh Jackman had been working on this for years and years and years, and he was struggling to get studios to sign onto it because the idea of an original musical was not something that studios were willing to give money to. But then La La Land came along and nearly won Academy Awards, so then...
Oh, so close.
Yeah, so close. So then the people were more on board. I was reading some reviews after watching it. A lot of people's complaints do seem to be that it's very like, it's just a feel good movie. You know, it really doesn't have much more to it when it comes to drama or like serious elements to it. But I kind of like it for that. Like its runtime is like an hour 40 or something like that. It's very fast paced, constantly moving, but all the actors are great. It's very colorful. I watched it 4K Blu-ray. Looks fucking fantastic with all the colors and sorts of things as well. Watching it with headphones on, great soundtrack, of course. Really wonderful soundtrack that I'm probably just going to be listening to for the rest of the week now because all the songs are great. And I had only heard like one song off the soundtrack, the really popular one. This is Us. That was This Is Me, sorry, that was on the radio and stuff constantly, but I hadn't listened to the rest of it because I kind of like to hear stuff within context when it comes to movies, which I think I've like kind of sort of mentioned before when it comes to this sort of stuff. So I was waiting, and now that I've watched the movie, I'm like, cool, I love all these songs. Now I can listen to the the soundtrack on repeat for the rest of the time. There's lots of weird standouts in this movie too. I'm like, Michelle Williams, I wasn't a big fan of her. For some reason, I really liked her in this movie. Zac Efron and Hugh Jackman make a really good team somehow, which I like. It was weird because I'm like, Hugh Jackman got older and was suddenly like, I want to be in musicals. And Zac Efron started in musicals and was like, I want to fucking leave this. And now they've like kind of come back together to do this one together. But every scene they have together, they're really, really good. And I really, really enjoyed Zac Efron in this movie because he's not playing a douchey dude bro. Like he's playing someone who was born into upper class, and he's like, he kind of doesn't really like his life too much, even though he's like gets to get around rich and stuff. And then one day Hugh Jackman comes up to him, and he's like, hey, do you want to like come help me up over here? Like people may shun you, but you'll have a good old time. And he goes over there and he falls in love with Zendaya, who's in it. Rebecca Ferguson's in it, which was quite weird because she plays a singer, and I'm used to seeing her in Mission Impossible fucking kicking dudes' asses with Tom Cruise. But I was like, sure, I'll buy it. And then the rest of the cast is all great. Songs are great. Cinematography is really good. Coordination of the dancers and stuff like that. But I'd suggest watching it. It's all the songs are very I say musical, and a lot of people get turned off obviously because they don't really like that. But most of the songs are very pop. You know, they're written for today's time. They're not written for the time it was made in. So I feel like you can escape the musical connotations of, it'll be a bunch of singing in the rain type shit. But most of the songs are pop hits that would be radio worthy these days. So yeah, it works on that fashion. And apparently they're working on a sequel, and I'm 100% down.
Cool. Nick, I saw that you've finished watching this season of Miracle Workers. You weren't hot on it when it first started out. How do you feel about it now that it's over?
I enjoyed it. I think it went in pretty interesting directions, and just seeing Steve Buscemi play God was pretty much a treat, and Daniel Radcliffe. Yeah, I think it was really good. It's worth a watch. It's only 7 episodes, so you're not really investing a whole lot into watching it, but it's definitely worth your time. Cool.
Definitely planning to check it out when I get my Stan subscription back up. I also saw that you watched a couple episodes of The Expanse.
Yes. I started watching it again because I'm halfway through the book series now. I remember watching the first season and really liking it, and then I don't know why I fell off watching it. I think I just
read the books.
No, the first season came out quite a few years ago, and I think maybe it wasn't on Netflix at the time because I was watching it on US Hulu or something like that. But yeah, it's a really good show. Like, I think it's one of the best sci-fi shows like I've seen, like hard sci-fi too. So like it delves into, like, it's obviously, it's been touted as like the Game of Thrones of space, but it also has undercurrents of hard sci-fi, like how G-forces affect the body and actually living in space and all that kind of stuff that you don't.
It's
normally...
not fantasy sci-fi.
No, it's very hard sci-fi and that kind of stuff. But the world building they do in that show is phenomenal. If you're even sort of interested in science fiction, I really suggest watching it.
Cool. So that's now on Amazon Prime, I'm pretty sure, because Jeff Bezos
Correct,
is
yes.
a massive fan and bought it when it got cancelled, pretty much.
Yeah, I believe the story is that because one of the authors of the book, because it's two authors writing under a pen name, one of the authors was the personal assistant to George Railroad, and George Railroad really loved it and talked to Bezos when it got cancelled into kind of picking it up.
Old Railroad, he's got pull.
Yeah.
You just say it so serious, like it's
That's
like
his
it's
real
his
actual
name.
name is.
Yeah.
So speaking of Amazon, their big new release TV series came out. Hannah, an adaptation of the 2011 film starring Saoirse Ronan. Dylan, you watched the first episode? Initial thoughts?
I like it. I'm keen to see where it goes. It's like shot nicely. The main girl is quite good, I thought. The guy, I think, is from like one of these.
It's Joel Kinnaman.
sci-fi shows.
Yeah, he's from Altered Carbon.
Okay, I was like, I'm pretty sure he's from one of these shows I've watched. But
Joel Kinnaman from RoboCop, also from
That
Suicide
classic.
Squad.
that classic.
That also classic. And then also coincidentally from the TV show The Killing, which the other main sort of actress who plays Marissa Morel Enos was also in. They were like the two leads of that show.
Okay, yeah, I'd seen her, like the FBI lady. I wasn't sure where I'd seen her from, but I don't know if that was it. Like, I've probably seen her on the cover because I've watched The Killing, so I've probably seen her on the cover and was like, okay, that's where she's from. But yeah, I mean, what is it? It's like 8 episodes, isn't it? Have you finished it?
I've watched 5 episodes.
Okay, yeah, so I think it's only like 8 or 10, isn't it though?
It's only 8, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched the movie.
Me
is there
neither.
a
I was
movie?
yeah, so it's based
I
on
just
a
said
movie.
it's adapted from the film starring Saoirse Ronan.
You got to know by now, Nick, and he pays attention when he needs to. I haven't watched the movie. I always wanted to watch the movie because Eric Bana plus Shazam, how do you say her name? Ronan.
Saoirse Ronan.
I like both those people, so I always wanted to watch it. I never got around to it. When they announced I was doing the series, I was like, okay, cool, maybe I'll just check out the series instead, and then maybe I'll watch the movie another day. I've seen a lot of people's complaints about TV show be that it's nothing like the movie, but to me, as someone who hasn't watched the movie, with that said, it still doesn't make sense to me because they're complaining that it's like slow and drawn out and these whatever sort of things. I'm like, it's a fucking TV show. Like they've turned an hour and a half, 2-hour movie or whatever into a 8-hour thing. Of course, it's gonna like be slower at points and whatever else. I don't really understand, but I'm liking it. I'm keen.
Yeah, so I've watched a bit, clearly a bit more than you.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah.
I think, it's pretty solid. They introduced some other interesting characters in the following episodes, including this other family that she sort of becomes best friends with this daughter. And then in the 5th episode, they sort of heavily imply there's going to be a love triangle, which sort of made me drop off. But I might go. I'm probably going to go back
love
and
love
watch the
triangles.
3.
Ashley hates romance.
It just felt forced.
If anything, I'd say Ash loves fucking rom-coms and stuff. So
Yeah, but I don't know.
on it.
Yeah, this one just rubbed me the wrong way. It was like, yeah. But yeah, I'll probably go back and watch the last. It's only 3 more episodes. I'll probably get around
you
to
just
it.
hate Polish people or whatever.
Oh! I mean,
from European country.
there's still a mystery of what Hannah is and that sort of thing because she's got.
Yeah, I was about to say we should. So the setup, spoil the opening 10 minutes since we didn't really say it.
That's true.
Bad podcasters. Is like the first episode starts with this guy Joel Kinnaman breaking into this like high security place. Well, he doesn't break in, like he has a way in. We don't really know how if he like fully faked it or whatever. But it was hard to.
He
really
was breaking
understand. It's like. It's very vague exactly why he's sneaking into this place, a government facility. You gather that much. He sneaks in there. They got a whole bunch of babies in a facility there. He takes the baby and then escapes. And then he gets into a car with presumably his wife, girlfriend, partner of some sort. And then they take off, and then it cuts ahead and it's like they're hiding, and then all of a sudden this fucking army's after him with this head honcho chick, which we was talking about before, whatever actress's name was from the killing. She shows up, she's chasing after him, and then they get into a car crash as the fucking helicopter's chasing them down, and then Joel Kinnaman takes off with the baby, whose name is Hannah, of course, and they're off in the forest. And then it skips ahead 15 years, and he's training her to be a badass motherfucking killing machine.
Survivalist.
And you don't know why. Yeah, survivalist. Like the first scene you see of her being an adult is him standing behind her, and then they literally get into a full-on fight where she seemingly nearly kills him, like chokes him out to a point of near death before letting him go, like flipping around the place and whatever else. And she's like gutting a deer and stuff like that. And then he's like, nah, you may have got the upper hand on me, but I was standing behind you for 3 seconds and I could have easily killed you by then, so you failed the test. So it's like, what is going on? The hook is kind of like, what was the baby? Why was she in the facility? Why is the FBI after him so badly? Why is he training her to be a fucking killing machine out here? So that's kind of the setup for the show.
And then the other element is she hasn't had any human interaction with anybody else. And then obviously then getting chucked into a world away from him is pretty much the setup for the rest of the season.
It's like an action thriller combined with a coming of age story, I guess, kind of thing. Yeah.
They seem to be pushing it really hard too, because before the screening of Us and Captain Marvel, they had like trailers and interview with the cast and like production kind of stuff.
Jeez.
Yeah,
must have some deal with your cinema.
Also, that is quite.
I mean, it's front page on Amazon Prime.
Like it, yeah,
but
they're just trying to really push the people of Maitland to see Hannah. That's the target demographic.
But Amazon Prime if you want to check that out.
Yeah. So let's move into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. Nick, I saw you watch 2 episodes of Altered Carbon. Didn't you already finish watching that?
I didn't. I went back and watched it because I was in a sci-fi mood and I realised I hadn't finished it, and then going back to watch it I realised why I hadn't, because towards the end of the series they bring a character into it and it kind of like not ruins the show, but like changes what it was. And yeah, it was good to be over, but I'm keen for the second series now that they've announced that Anthony Mackie's going to be playing the lead character now. So yeah.
So just putting off checking it off.
Yeah, checking it off pretty much. Yeah, okay. And for those, he plays the same character, but for those that don't know, Altered Carbon's about this thing where you can download your consciousness into other bodies and stuff like that, so we quite easily swap Anthony Mackie in from, coincidentally, Joel Kinnaman from Hannah. I was wondering why he was doing that. I didn't realise at the time that Anthony Mackie was announced to be the different lead. Like, I thought he was coming back, but yeah.
Yep.
Interesting.
Cool. I also saw that you watched The Highwaymen, the new film starring Kevin Costner, Woody Harrelson.
That's why I was late to recording tonight.
Oh.
Motherfucker. I should have been late to recording because I've been wanting to watch this all week and haven't had a fucking chance yet.
Yeah. So those who don't know, it's about a pair of Texas Rangers who come out of retirement to catch the infamous outlaws, Bonnie and Clyde. I also watched this, but Nick, what'd you think?
I think it's the best movie I've seen in the last fortnight, by far.
Oh my god.
Holy shit.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It felt very much like a Western to me. Like 2 old gunfighters just getting back into it. Kind of like, not unlike sort of like Clint Eastwood's kind of character in Unforgiven. Kind of like he's dragged back into it and getting back into it. The world's not for him anymore, and just one last ride on the trail kind of thing.
Shout out to that first episode of What Do You Want to Watch?
Yep, callbacks. But yeah, I thought it was really good. I am quite impressed that they told the other side of the story to Bonnie and Clyde, where they're so idolised, where this kind of paints them in a picture of what they really were, kind of like sadistic sociopaths, really.
Yeah, I clearly didn't like it as much as you did. by my massive surprise of you liking it so much. It kind of felt like old people, they can still do stuff better than the young people. That's kind of what it felt like, and seemed to be the vibe going through the entire movie. But yeah, it was interesting to see it, obviously, from the other point of view, where obviously Bonnie and Clyde is sort of cult heroes, and you see they showed the celebrity they had during that time, where people will vouch for them and not say anything, and then their car gets mobbed as they're trying to do a robbery and that sort of thing. And then to see the brutal ending.
Yeah.
Spoilers, it doesn't end well for Bonnie and Clyde.
Have you just watched Bonnie and Clyde?
No.
The classic?
No.
You haven't? Oh my fucking god. So, I was about to say, one of the reasons I want to watch this so much is because you're talking about the celebrity and stuff, and it's like, at one stage when I was in high school, I was like obsessed with learning about, about Bonnie and Clyde, because it's like, to me, they were like OG gangsters, I guess. You know, like there's a element of intrigue to them I always had. And the original fucking I'm looking up the year quickly.
The Warren Beatty.
1967 the Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway film is, I don't know where it would fall on my favorite list of all time. Not top 10, but it's kind of up there. It's an absolutely fucking phenomenal scene. But what made when you're talking about the brutal ending, I'm intrigued to see that, considering how it's not like gross brutal in the original film, but it's just the way they shoot it and the way it kind of just all goes down. It's brutal nonetheless. I'm intrigued to watch this to know if it's a similar kind of thing. You know, it's kind of like, because in the original movie, it's kind of like the soundtrack cuts out, and then fuck it, it's a true story. Always spoiling. Bonnie and Clyde fucking died. Big whoop de doo. In the original movie, it's just like the soundtrack kind of cuts out, and like they're trying to fight back behind the car or in the car, however it is, and then it's just all of a sudden they just cut this one shot from the side, and it just hear nothing but, you know, the gunshots just fucking going to town on that thing. And yeah,
well, it was in this. It was shot in a very grounded way. It wasn't sensationalized, really, or dramatized. It's very. It felt like it showed how it would have really happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Intrigued. Because they did a Bonnie and Clyde TV series in, I don't know, maybe it was like I don't even know at this point, but maybe like 5+ years ago.
Yeah.
They did what, I'm trying to think. 2013, because I remember it because it has Emil, what's his fucking name in it? Emil Hirsch.
Emil Hirsch
was in it, and he played Clyde. That TV show, or mini-series, I suppose, wasn't very good. So, and I went into that going, oh, cool, more Bonnie and Clyde. I'm intrigued, but I really didn't like that. So I'm hoping I like The Highwayman. Hopefully I can fall at least somewhere between Nick and Ash, I guess.
Yep.
So you don't want to like it as much as I did?
No, well, no. I did. Worst case scenario. Hopefully I fall at least somewhere between these. But also, you should watch Bonnie and Clyde, the original movie. It's fantastic.
Cool. Maybe a future. What do you end up watching? Just checking out there.
Maybe.
I watched another rock climbing documentary. It's on Netflix called The Dawn Wall. It pretty much follows the life of the career of Tommy Caldwell, who's a professional rock climber, clearly. Coincidentally, he's also in Free Solo, the movie that you should watch instead of this, to be perfectly honest, because it is better in every possible way. Not to say this is bad, but it's just that movie is shot better, more interesting, more heartfelt.
It's no Oscar winner, is what you're saying.
It's no Oscar winner, which is why it doesn't have an Oscar to its name.
Yeah.
But Tommy Caldwell's a pretty interesting character. Back in 2000, he was on a climbing expedition with his girlfriend and some other climbers, and they were captured and held hostage by a bunch of armed rebels. And for 6 days, they were dragged or marched through Kazakhstan without food or water. And then eventually, to free himself and the other captors, he pushed a guy over a cliff, and then ran to like a military base to be returned. Years later, he's climbing. After losing one of his fingers, which should make it hard enough to do rock climbing, because you kind of need all your fingers to do that. He becomes like world renowned within the climbing community. He pretty much becomes Mr. El Capitan, which is the massive structure in the Yosemite. But his major goal is to climb this the Dawn Wall, which is the one section of El Capitan which has never been conquered before because it's pretty much just flat rock, almost impossible to climb. So this sort of after breaking up with his previous girlfriend, he sort of sets himself. This is his thing that he needs to do to sort of set his mind to and sort of accomplish. And then he teams up with a guy called Kevin Jorgensen, who's never done this sort of rock climbing before. And they sort of free climb up the wall over a period of several days. It also looks at like the media coverage that they sort of burst on into the scene after like one article was posted while they were halfway up the rock face, and yeah, sort of huge media coverage and that sort of thing as they're trying to accomplish this thing, which isn't guaranteed. So yeah, it was really interesting. Obviously, again, not Free Solo, but a good thing to watch in preparation for Free Solo's release in a few weeks on home video or DVD. And then Nick, I saw you watched a couple episodes of Trailer Park Boys animated series.
Yes,
They did what?
Yeah.
What? This is a thing?
It is. I was hesitant going into it, like really hesitant, because I thought I really enjoy Trailer Park Boys and what it is, but after seeing it, I really enjoy it because it lets them go down a route of going absolutely like really wacky and out there. Like the premise is that they're really high on fucking, I don't know, something that they took, and they perceive themselves in cartoon world, I guess. But just the length they go to and situations they put themselves in during the animated show is really good, and it's still the same kind of humour. And if you enjoy Trailer Park Boys, I really think you would enjoy the animated series as well, at least from what I've seen of it so far. Cool. And I think too, they kind of needed, I guess, a break after losing the actor that plays Mr. Leahy too. So, yeah.
Yep. Cool. All right, so that's everything we've been watching. So let's move into some news. And sort of, I guess, the biggest news, or the most news that caught the most attention the past fortnight. We finally got a cast for, or partial cast for, Cowboy Bebop, the Netflix live-action series that's coming sometime this year, I believe. And we have John Cho, star of Harold and Kumar, plays Mr. Sulu in the rebooted Star Trek, and was in Searching from last year, is going to be playing the role of Spike Spiegel, the impossibly cool cowboy with a deadly smile, of wry wit and style to spare. Also have Mustafa Shakir from Marvel's Luke Cage as Jet Black, Daniela Pineda from Jurassic World, and I think it was the originals as well, as Faye Valentine, and then Alex Hassel as from the Red Sea Diving Resort and Suburbicon as Vicious. You guys fans of Cowboy Bebop? I believe we've talked about it before. Never seen it. Dylan?
Yeah, I'm a fan. Cowboy Bebop was.
How does this casting news make you feel?
I like it. Seems cool.
Yeah.
I can see John Cho as a Spike. I can buy into that. Alex Hassel, I'm not. Yeah, I can see it, but it's funny because out of everyone, he's the one who I'm like, don't know, because like that character is like his arch nemesis. Something like the way they portray him in the anime is very like anime evil and stuff. He's probably the most anime-ish character I feel like in the series. Kind of everyone else is more grounded, which is a weird thing to say, I guess, for an anime show. But yeah, I don't know. He's the one I've struggled picturing the most. Danielle, whatever her name is, I don't like have any history with to stand out, so I can't really say much. But like looking at her, I'm like, yeah, she looks like she can play the
role.
Character, sure. Looks like she could play Faye, sure. And then Mustafa Shakir, Jet. Yeah, I honestly feel like that's the easiest lock-in of the casting for me. 100% see that guy. He was great in Luke Cage, bad guy. And then interestingly enough, after this news popped out, he was in this week's episode of American Gods. So as I was watching this week's episode of American Gods, I was like, hey, it's the guy that was just announced gonna be playing the old Jet over there. Here we go. What interesting timing this all worked out to be. So that was good.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm down. I am more interested in the writing being done right and these sorts of things in the casting really, because in my mind, if it's written bad, then it doesn't really matter who the fuck they cast. It's going to be shit.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm less worried about the casting than I am the writing and the translation of bringing the series over to a live action format and stuff like that.
To be fair, if they had have casted, there's certain people, if they chucked in this cast, people would have turned on this show before the got a chance.
The cast could have looked shit, sure. I get that, but my point is, you could have a cast that everyone is 100% on board with, and the show could still be shit.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty happy overall. They look good. I like John Cho. I think he can pull it off. Obviously, he's been showing a bit more wider range with more of his more recent roles. So, yeah, should be good. We do know it's going to be a 10-episode series. I don't know if that's just a season, or whether they're like just doing 10 episodes.
Well, there's not that much to Cowboy Bebop
there's
in the first place. 2
12,
seasons, is it? And then a movie?
Like
Or was it
12
one
episodes,
season?
something like that. Not a lot.
It's been a fucking while since I watched it.
And of course, we mentioned before the original creator, Shinichiro Watanabe, is on board as a consultant and will be helping out with that. Obviously, what's the kid's name? That's going to be an important role, and I think pretty difficult to cast.
That's the one people are most worried about casting.
Ed.
Ed, yeah.
Yeah.
Ed something.
Ed TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a spoiler. I think it's a spoiler. Yeah, it is a spoiler to say why. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yes.
But
I feel like it is for safe. But there's something to do with that character that makes how they're going to go about it
difficult.
interesting, I guess. Yeah, difficult. So, yeah.
Yeah. Also,
the most important casting, Ash, what is it? What is the most important casting?
They need to cast the dog that plays Cheddar in Brooklyn Nine-Nine as Iron, the dog in Cowboy Bebop.
Yes. Cowboy Bebop is one of those. Cowboy Bebop is one of those animes where the dog character was one of the main members, and reasons to watch it. They better get the dog casting right for this damn.
Yeah, Cheddar is one of the best dogs on television at the moment. So yeah, I'm sure he'd do a great job. I don't know his age or anything, or his asking price might be too much. He might be super busy, but yeah, they definitely need to get that dog.
It's funny though, because like with the anime stuff coming over, most of the time I feel like any anime, if you turn it into live action, my initial thought's going to be like, that's too long for me to be bothered rewatching it. But for Cowboy Bebop, I'm like, I gotta actually rewatch that.
That is the exact same reaction I had.
Because it's not that long, and it's been a while, so... Yeah.
I'm like, where can I watch this? And one of them anime services will have it.
One of them will have it.
Anyway, moving on. Apparently, the Justice Department has warned the Academy of Motion Pictures and Arts and Sciences that its potential rule changes limiting the eligibility of Netflix and other streaming services for the Oscars could raise antitrust concerns and violate competition law. Apparently, a letter was sent to the CEO of the Academy on the 21st of March expressing concerns about any potential new rules, which have been touted to be sourced from Steven Spielberg, even though he never said anything about any rules. Apparently, in the event the Academy, in an association that includes multiple competitors in its membership, establishes certain eligibility requirements for the Oscars that eliminate competition without pre-competitive justification, such conduct may raise antitrust concerns and would be in violation of Section 1 of the Sherman Act that prohibits anti-competitive agreements among competitors. Accordingly, agreements among competitors to exclude new competitors can violate the antitrust laws when their purpose or effect is to impede competition by goods or services that consumers purchase and enjoy, but which threaten the profits of incumbent firms. If the Academy adopts a new rule to exclude certain types of films, such as films distributed via online streaming services, from eligibility for the Oscars, and that exclusion tends to diminish the excluded film sales, that rule would therefore violate Section 1. Do we want the government getting involved in the Oscars?
Oh, I don't care.
What a fucking mouthful.
Yeah.
That was. Really, I This I honestly don't know. No.
The thing
No,
is
I guess.
that these films are released via streaming service first, right? So there's no way that you could tell if it diminishes the excluded film sales in any way. So if they did exclude them, they wouldn't affect the sales. It just seems like a weird thing for the Justice Department to get involved in and pick a side in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's American stuff, I'm like, I don't know, is it weird for the Justice Department to get involved in? Have they got involved in other weird things previously I haven't just like heard about? I don't really know what would cause them to do it. I guess there's money involved. That's kind of the answer for most of these things, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously the Oscars, getting an Oscar brings a lot of prestige and obviously eyes and money afterwards, but...
Yeah. There was that other news story going around today of Netflix apparently eyeing to buy
The Netflix is currently in talks to acquire Hollywood's historic Egyptian theater from American Cinema Etiquette, which is the first cinema to have a movie premiere, which was in 1922. In a deal that's said to be in many millions, tens of millions of dollars, and it's said to put Netflix in good standing with the Hollywood cinephile community as the disruptive streaming service helps to preserve one of Hollywood's landmark movie theaters and its long tradition, and also putting the non-profit American Cinema Etiquette on firmer financial footing in the process.
Yeah, so Netflix is like, we're basically sick of having this conversation. How about this? How about we go buy like one of the oldest cinemas in America, and we'll put our movies there. We'll keep the cinema alive, and just give us the Oscar nominations. Okay, fuck off, bye.
It actually sounds like a very good deal. Apparently, both parties look at this as something of a partnership, according to this Deadline article. Netflix will program its streaming for workday nights, while Cinema Etiquette runs screenings, lectures, and occasional festivals on the weekends on an autonomous basis. The organization will be able to extend its programming with the financial resources from the deal, and Netflix will hold occasional special screenings at events for some of its splashiest movie launches. So that seems like a win-win for everybody, obviously. Netflix get the good buzz, and they get to somewhere to actually screen their movies without having to deal with...
They don't get to argue that they can't be in it anymore.
I guess. Depends on the films. I still stand by it should be an Emmy thing, but...
fuck off.
Yeah. It seems like... And we're still... The annual meeting's not for another freaking 2 weeks. So we're not going to get resolved with these stories for another 2 weeks. Mercifully, the next
Lucky this show's fortnightly.
Yeah. Actually, I think the news won't break till after the next episode is probably recorded, so lucky us.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
People miss out.
We had to miss out. Cinema business. Speaking of cinema business, CinemaCon, the big industry cinema event where they show films off to different exhibitors and that things were held a couple weeks ago. They try to sell movies. They try to sell movies to movie theaters is pretty much the thing. Disney come out and showed pretty much they're going to rule the box office for next year with a bunch of footage. The more interesting thing to me is there was a bunch of, quote, innovations and different things that people have been trying to pitch to different movie theaters. So I'm going to explain some of them to you and you tell me what you think. Apparently there is a company called Red Carpet Home Cinema that's going to be launching that will be a rent-a-movie service. If you pass their credit check and pay to install their box in your living room, you can rent movies from 20th Century Fox, Fox Searchlight, Warner Brothers, Paramount, Lionsgate, and Annapurna for the low price of $1,500 to $3,000 each, depending on the demand of the title. Does that sound like something that you would want to invest in?
No.
Is that... hold on, read that again.
Blow Nick's mind.
So it's pretty much new release rentals for $1,500 to $3,000 a pop.
Is that for homes or is it for cinemas to rent them?
For homes.
Why the fuck did anybody think this was a good idea?
Rich people, man.
Rich people. Yeah, that's pretty much what the article's going around.
Do you mean like new films and like new at the cinema?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no way is it worth it.
Okay. Another idea that has been touted around is dynamic pricing. So in Europe, exhibitors are trying out airplane-style ticketing. Imagine, you pay more for a reserved center aisle or leather recliner seat and less for the standard issue rear or front row. So far, this has not reached the US. Would that be something you'd be on board? No.
Is that something they do in Europe?
Apparently they're testing it out.
No.
No.
It's like I don't need classism in my fucking cinema.
I mean, if I can get like $5 off just to sit slightly to the side, that wouldn't be too bad.
No, you won't be getting $5 off. You'll be paying the exact same now, but to get the better seats, you'll be paying more. They're not going to lower the price of what they already have.
Yeah.
No, I think they'll lower it a little bit and then raise it a bit.
They won't. Nothing ever lowers. This is a capitalist
Get this
society,
elitist
Ashley.
garbage out of my cinema.
Okay.
That's a no in case you didn't catch it.
The other one, apparently they're bringing out vests that you can wear during films as part of the 4D experience. You know, the things where your chair rattles and that sort of thing. Because then your body can feel different things, like the wind's going against your body, or you getting shot in the chest is the example they put in.
Your body can feel different things.
Yeah,
Like
because the vest like vibrates in certain places or whatever.
Nah,
How do you guys feel about the 4D 4D idea? Because apparently it's big in China.
Well, I remember going to, I think it was Movie World or SeaWorld or something.
Yeah, I saw
and they had
one there.
4D.
Blowing air on you?
Yeah, it was good in theory, but in practice, it was a gimmick.
It works when the movie's designed around it.
Yeah, it was some
and
Shrek thing, and
that's exactly what I watched.
Yeah, like the dragon
Spiders drop
sneezes at
down.
you, and
Yeah, that's exactly what I watched, and it was cool. But for the moment you're asking like production companies to force 4D stuff into cinema, like at the moment, I mean, look what happened to 3D. 3D comes out, and then they're just converting all their movies to 3D because why the fuck not? They can charge extra for the cinema ticket price on it if they make their movie into 3D, and they got the conversion thing down so cheap that they could just like convert it to 3D, really shitty 3D, but charge more for tickets and make a profit. So what happens when you put 4D out? All of a sudden they're converting movies into 4D and just adding in some blowing effects here, there, and there for cheap, and they're charging you fucking $10 more per ticket for it. So although I'm open to 4D stuff in like specialty things like your movie worlds and what have you, as like a normal kind, like, hey, check out the latest Captain America movie or whatever. For fucking, you got normal, you got 2D, you got 3D, you got 4D. I just want to watch the fucking movie. How about that? Yeah.
Someone comes along with a big fucking rubber hammer and smacks you in the face every time it falls on the screen.
Yeah, I don't like this idea. I mean, how am I supposed to enjoy my popcorn if I got friggin' water splashing all over it and then my chair's shaking and it's going all over the place?
Yeah, no, fuck that. I don't want cinema to be a fucking theme park ride.
But some people do. That's the problem.
I don't mind
Chinese
them bringing.
still, apparently.
They combine theater plus cinema in theme parks, and they do these cool experiences that I'd like to do. Like, there's one I really want to fucking do. I think they have it in Move World now, or maybe it was only the American one. But I remember they like recorded a brand new like Fast and Furious, like 20-minute, half-hour fucking thing. Yes, please get me all over that. But would I want that in my local cinema? No, because I just keep them in the theme parks. That's where they belong.
Yep. And the last one is a new idea brought to you by MoviePass co-founder Stacey Spikes.
Sounds good.
Yep. So pretty much the premise is you download the app called Pre-Show, you select a movie that you want to watch, and then you are shown a piece of branded content ranging from 15 to 20 minutes. When you have completed watching it, you get to see the movie you selected in a theater for free.
That's fine by me. I'll just put it on and fucking walk away.
The tech is a little advanced, so don't think you can select the ad and run off and do the dishes. The app knows when you look away and will stop the ad. You have to look at it the whole time to get the free movie.
I'd rather pay the $10 at my local cinema to go watch it.
Rather than 20 minutes of ads.
Then sit there for 20 minutes to watch
What if they
something.
did this and then cut ads from the start of movies?
Time is money.
They won't do that.
I'm just throwing out some hypotheticals.
Well, I know that they won't do that because they're not making any more money that way.
Right.
No.
Yeah, this sounds like an idea that is definitely not going to work. Though, if you're interested, there is currently a Kickstarter to fund it. which
Fuck off.
is currently sitting at $50,986, which has completed its goal of that's Australian dollars, which would have been 36,348 American, which met its 10,000 American goal.
The only
very low.
way that you would kickstart it is if your version of the app disables that camera.
I guess. I mean,
What
there's
if
no.
can I
it
stick-
needs to. Yeah.
Can I stick like a stuffed toy in front of it or something? And
I don't know. I don't. Yeah, it's not explained a great deal, but I assume there's some sort of. It's like motion detecting your face and that sort
Can
of
I
thing.
record a 15-minute video of myself pretending to watch something, and then every time I cue it up, I just sit my phone in front of a LCD screen and then activate the video of me pretending to watch the thing? I've solved. I broke the system. Come at me now, motherfucker.
I'd still rather pay $10.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
movie
I'm sure we'll find out how this gets exploited in the future.
here's the thing that they keep talking about this stuff and I've said this on the show obviously before. Cinema tickets aren't that expensive if you know where to buy them, and if you're buying the Telstra ones and what have you, or concessions and stuff like that, they're not so expensive that I'd ever need to go, oh yeah, I'll waste 20 minutes of my
man.
fucking day watching
Imagine
ads.
if you wanted to do that with like a family of like 6 kids or something, 4 or 5 kids.
That's an hour of ads.
No, that's
To
20
watch-
minutes a pop, possibly. It's like 2 hours. Crazy.
Yeah, fuck
Anyway.
no.
So we got an announcement of a new series that's coming to Disney Plus. It's going to be called Monsters at Work, and it's going to be a spin-off of Monsters, Inc. It will be set after the original film, and will follow the character of Tyler Tuskman, an eager and talented mechanic at the Monsters, Inc. facilities team who dreams of working on the laugh floor alongside Mike and Sully.
So it's finally Monsters Inc. 2.
I guess. John Goodman and Billy Crystal will be back, along with a cast including Ben Feldman, Kelly Marie Tran, Henry Winkler, and Lucas Nerf, as well as John Rassenberg, Jennifer Tilly, and Bob Peterson from the original. I mean, it's an interesting idea. I can't think of any other Pixar property that's been turned into a TV. Oh, I guess there was that Buzz Lightyear TV series
Lilo
they
and
did.
Stitch?
That I said Pixar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Listen. But yeah, interesting it's set after, I guess, after the... It'll be set after
they
the
did
events of
before.
Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Well, they did a prequel movie, so I suppose they're like, well, it's time
Yeah.
to go past.
Yeah. Is this something that you'd watch when Disney Plus comes out?
It's something that if I've already subscribed and I'm like, well, I'm here now, I might check out. But it's not something I would subscribe for.
Specifically for, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. Obviously, it's going to be a family-orientated net streaming service, so they need to put some family-oriented content on it, especially when the only other major... Well, I guess there's a few other major things, but the big one that everybody's talking about is The Mandalorian. And I can't imagine that
Hopefully we
being
get a trailer for
terribly
this week, maybe.
family-friendly. Maybe. Nick, as a person who hates animated stuff, is something you watch?
No.
No, that's what I thought.
Yep.
So we just got sad news for Dylan this week. The 5th season of Better Call Saul won't arrive this year. It is currently being delayed so that to 2020. That's how math works. Apparently, it's driven by talent needs, which we would not override if it would result in a worse show. And also, in the interview, it also says that the show is coming towards its end. We know clearly the end was already written before the show began. The writers, they are very particular, very clear sense of the arc of the show. And then when... what's her name? Sarah Barrett, head of AMC's Entertainment Networks, was pressed on this issue. She said, we're certainly getting closer to it, and it being the end. Dylan, are you going to be able to survive a year without Better Call Saul?
Considering it's usually my number one TV show every year, it's going to be very weird to have no Better Call Saul. But I'll also read between the lines and say talent needs to me means got to make sure that Bryan Cranston can line up his filming schedule to come to a scene of Better Call Saul.
All I can say is the best of 2019 TV shows is looking pretty fucking bleak at this point.
Whoa.
It's so good. It's funny because like looking at my top 10 last year, it was like Better Call Saul, and then there was other stuff. Like there was a decent gap. That show, the stuff went down. Westworld had some crap, but Better Call Saul doesn't have crappy episodes. Every episode's fantastic. It was the only show that I constantly. Yeah, well, that's true. It has 0 episodes, but and then when they're saying about approaching the end, I wouldn't be surprised if when they get closer to release date, they just say that's actually the final season. And like they're just kind of keeping that behind closed doors at the moment so people don't go too hard on like freaking out and theorizing or like trying to like jump onto set to record stuff or anything like that. They're kind of just like, we're approaching the end, but then maybe 5-6 months from now, they're like, yeah, it's the end. That's the final season. It's happening. Which would make sense because the slight spoilers for the last episode of the previous season, it just ends with Jimmy finally becoming Saul Goodman. Like he names himself that. So we've hit that stride in the show. So I don't really know. Like there's only a couple things left to kind of do to set it up for Breaking Bad. Like he's already falling off that cliff into becoming the Saul Goodman character that we know from Breaking Bad. There's a couple other things we need to do with like Mike to position him and Saul, I guess. Like we need to kind of see how Saul and Kim's relationship ends, I guess, to wrap up the show and how that goes. And then they also need to do something with the prologue scene, because every season has started with a scene that is actually set after Breaking Bad, and it's always in black and white and stuff, and it's showing what that character Saul or Jimmy or whatever the fuck, I can't remember what he calls himself in that timeline actually, but another fake name of some sort, and he's in hiding, of course, from the cops and stuff. We always cut forward to that, and it's been slowly building every single season, showing you like he's kind of struggling with PTSD of some sort, I guess, is kind of one way to describe it. So that needs to have some sort of reason to have been existing for the past few seasons. Yeah.
Cool. Now, pretty much every week, there's a bunch of movies with different casting announcements that would really justify us going into a huge news segment about them individually. So I thought we'd bring back one of our other recurring segments and to talk about them. Would you want to invest? So okay. I'm gonna got a bunch of films here. We'll go films and TV shows that we'll go through, and you need to tell me if you would fully invest, partially invest, or pass. You can have any reason for wanting to do any of those options, whether it's you think it's going to be a commercial success, it'll be a critical success, or it's just going to be a flop. All right. So the first film is called Hillbilly Elegy. It's going to be a Netflix film directed by Ron Howard. And Amy Adams has recently become attached to the project with a script by the writer of The Shape of Water, Vanessa Taylor, based on the best-selling memoir by J.D. James David Vance of the same name. So the synopsis of the book is the Vance family story begins hopefully in post-war America. J.D.'s grandparents were dirt poor and in love and moved north from Kentucky's Alopecia region to Ohio in the hopes of escaping the dreadful poverty around them. They raised a middle-class family and eventually their grandchild, who graduated from Yale Law School, a conventional marker of their success in achieving generational upward mobility. But as the family saga of the Hillbilly Elegy plays out, we learn that this is only the short, superficial version. Vance's grandparents, aunt, uncle, sister, and most of all his mother struggled profoundly with the demands of their new middle-class life and were never able to fully escape the legacy of abuse, alcoholism, poverty, and trauma so characteristic of their part of America. Vance piercingly shows how he himself still carries around the demons of their chaotic family history. Dylan, what do you think?
Was there a middle option?
Partially invest.
That's it. I partially invest.
Yeah, I'd give it $2.
I mean, Ron Howard's Anime's on
the
like
talent attached to it is pretty impressive, but yeah, I don't know if the story, it's basically a story about the Great Depression.
Variety calls it a modern exploration of the American dream and follows 3 generations of an Alapatian family, as told by its youngest member, a Yale law student, forced to return to his hometown. So,
Look, I'm not sold on the pitch. I see potential. The cast is there. Ron Howard can direct well sometimes. We'll see if this is one of those good times.
all right. Next up, we have the Netflix TV series called The Eddy. The Eddy is a musical drama set in contemporary multicultural Paris revolving around a club, its owner, the house band, and the chaotic city that surrounds them. The 8-episode series will be shot in France and feature dialogue in French, English, and Arabic for the premiere exclusively to Netflix members worldwide. Andre Hollands, from High Flying Bird and also Moonlight, will play Elliot Udo, who was a celebrated jazz pianist in New York, but is now in Paris, part owner of a failing jazz club, hiding from everyone. He has an on-again, off-again relationship with his lead singer, but is emotionally stunted. When his 15-year-old daughter shows up suddenly, he has to face his weakness and learn to grow up. Executive produced and directed for the first 2 episodes by Damien Chazelle, and with also executive produced by 5-time BAFTA award-winning and Tony and Oliver-winning writer Jack Thorne, who writes the first 6 episodes, as well as Glenn Ballard, who writes the songs, who worked with Alanis Morissette and Michael Jackson, as well as Emmy Award-winning producer Alan Poole, who worked on things like 6 Feet Under, The Newsroom, and Tales of the City, who will also direct the final 2 episodes. Nick, thoughts?
So, let me get the rules of the game. Are we investing as a potential return on our investment, or we think it's a good project to invest in?
It's completely up to you what you want to invest in.
Because I'm thinking coming at it as, would I watch it?
Yep.
I don't think I would.
Okay.
You don't think you would?
Really?
Well, I mean, you can put the rules. You're the investor. You can choose.
This is
to put the
freaking
rules on
Shark
yourself.
Tank. That's what this is.
You can invest in stuff that only you like, or you can invest in stuff that may not be for you, but you could see potentially. I mean, it's up to you. Yeah, I mean, it's.
But from a business perspective, is it wise to invest in something that's going into Netflix?
I don't know. How rich are you?
I don't know. Not very rich. If I only gave the last movie $2,
You're adding a very big backstory to this segment.
yeah. I don't think I would kickstart this. Let's put it that way.
Dylan.
Yeah, I'm buying this for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the cast. I like the people involved with it. Obviously, you tell me Damien Chazelle's directing a couple episodes of anything, and I'm pretty much on board at that point.
Can't get away from
fanboy
freaking
breaks out.
jazz, can he?
No, he can't. And this sounds like it's 100% up my alley. Some fucking jazzy Paris fucking musical. Yep. I'm sold.
All right. Next up, we have a movie directed by Sean Levy called Free Guy, starring Ryan Reynolds, Taika Waititi, Jodie Comer from Killing Eve, Joe Carey from Stranger Things, Little Ray Howery from Get Out and Pitch Perfect and Blindspotting's Oot Crush, M. Dekur. Free Guy will follow. Yes, Free Guy will follow Ryan Reynolds as a bank teller who finds his routine thrown into upheaval when he discovers he's nothing more than a background character in some kind of violent open-world action adventure video game like Grand Theft Auto. However, he and one of the game's avatars somehow end up being the only ones capable of saving the video game world when the makers of the game threaten to shut it down. Dylan, are you wanting to watch this live-action Wreck-It Ralph?
Yes, basically.
Yes.
I mean, it kind of is, isn't it? So
Yeah.
it's hard to escape. But I mean, the cast alone is why I'm buying it. Right? This is where I'm in. I feel like most people should be in at the cast. It's a fucking comedy with a ridiculous setup and thing. And you got Taika Waititi and Ryan Reynolds and fucking Lil Ray Howery in it.
Yep.
Sold. There's my money.
Nick?
I would kickstart this.
All right. I feel like maybe this one's for you, Nick. Next film's called 1917, directed by Sam Mendes, who's also writing it alongside Christy Wilson Keynes. It follows two British soldiers on a single day at the height of World War One, starring Benedict Cumberbatch, Colin Firth, Richard Madden, Mark Strong, and Andrew Scott.
I would buy the highest tier in this Kickstarter.
Yeah, I figured that might be the case. Currently, apparently set. It's about to go into production, but it's set to be released December 25th. But I don't know if that'll be in Australia or not. But Dylan, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll invest. Got Sam Mendes.
Sam Mendes.
There's not enough good media about World War One. I feel so. Yeah.
That's because America wasn't super involved. That's why.
Yeah, that is 100%. That's not even a joke answer. That is 100% why. That is exactly why. But yeah, I'll invest. Cast sounds good. Sam Mendes is in directing, so sure, I'll invest.
I definitely see if they pull it off, it's definitely going to be Oscar contention this year. I would suspect. That sounds like a cast that could get.
Is it a film or a series?
It's a film.
It's a film.
Oh.
Yeah. Next up, we have the Baz Luhrmann Elvis biopic project. With Tom Hanks currently in negotiations to play Elvis's iconic manager, Colonel Tom Parker. Luhrmann obviously going to direct with a script by his regular collaborator, Craig Pearce. Parker discovered Presley when he was an unknown and quickly moved on as his lone representation. Parker was responsible for various milestones, including Presley's record deal with RCA and his successful acting career. While Luhrmann always envisioned a star for Parker's role, he is looking for a newcomer to play the role of Elvis Presley.
Good.
Dylan, what do you think?
I invest heavily.
Big Baz Luhrmann
Baz
fan?
Luhrmann doing a big flashy Elvis biopic? Yes. Yes, I'm down.
Nick, what do you think?
It's not that hard. You invest.
I don't know if I would, because these biopics that are coming out can be hit and miss. So
But it's Bazzy. It's Baz, Nick.
I don't know Baz from Bar of Soap, mate.
You don't know who Baz Luhrmann is?
I know who he is, but I don't know him personally.
You don't need to know him personally.
Well, I feel like I need to have a good rapport with him if I'm kickstarting his project here.
Oh my fucking god.
No, I don't think I'd invest in it, but I'd regret that I hadn't when it came out.
Oh my god, what an answer.
Yeah, man. This is going to be... I'm going to love playing this back when this comes out.
It's nominated for a fucking Oscar or something.
Yeah, anytime one of these movies is out, I'm going to cut this segment and stick it in after our thoughts.
But fucking Bohemian Rhapsody was nominated for Oscars. Doesn't mean it was good.
You haven't even seen it, so you can't even have been...
I've seen the scene.
I wouldn't have invested in that.
You wouldn't have? Oh, yeah, because...
if you'd asked me, they're doing blah, 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 and I would have been like, nah, fuck this shit, because they turned down Sacha Baron Cohen's version, and I'm not investing in this movie. That would have been my answer.
Out of spite, you're not investing in this movie.
Damn fucking right.
Pretty much, okay. Next up, we have another version of Macbeth, this time being directed by Joel Cohen, his first film without his brother Ethan, apparently based on his own script, starring Denzel Washington and Frances McDormand, distributed by A24. Nick.
A24's distributing it, your boy, invest.
Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah. I find this interesting. I mean,
It's a good mishmash of everything coming together that's going to be pretty fucking unique, I think.
Yeah, it'd have to. He'd have to have some interesting take on the project.
If
Macbeth's
anything,
been
you
done
invest,
to death, kind of.
Yeah, if anything, you invest just to see Denzel Washington as Macbeth with fucking Frances McDormand as Lady Macbeth. Like, I cannot picture that at all. I invest to see it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Next film is called I'm Thinking of Ending Things, The new project, written and directed by Charlie Kaufman, it will star Jesse Plemons, and based on Ian Reid's 2016 novel of the same name. It follows Jake as Jesse Plemons' character Jake, a man going on a road trip to meet his parents on their secluded farm with his girlfriend, who is thinking of terminating their relationship. When Jake makes an unexpected detour, leaving her stranded, a twisted mix of palpable tension, psychological frailty, and sheer terror ensues. Also starring Toni Collette, Jesse Buckley from Taboo, I guess the show with
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy, that's who, and David Thewlis.
I hope that you picked this last, because that would be a masterful choice based on the title.
No, I did not pick this last.
You can just edit it.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I would invest.
I would invest too.
Sounds crazy.
Have you watched Charlie Kaufman stuff?
No. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know why I said no straight away.
Yeah.
You're like, no. Tick, tick, tick.
I'm trying.
Maybe.
What is Charlie Kaufman's? I'm thinking of Sidnicki.
I've seen Being John Malkovich.
No, that's one of them. I'm thinking of his directorial stuff. So, but yeah, he's in interesting films. So our second last one. No, I'm not gonna. Not Fade Away. Emily Blunt is in talks to star in Not Fade Away, which is based on the 2015 memoir of the same name by Rebecca Alexander. The synopsis is: born with a rare genetic mutation called Usher syndrome type 3, Rebecca Alexander has been simultaneously losing both her sight and hearing since she was a child, and was told that she would likely be completely blind and deaf by age 30. Then at age 18, a fall from a window left her athletic body completely shattered. None of us know what we could do in the face of such devastation. What Rebecca did was rise to every challenge she faced. She was losing her vision and hearing, and her body was broken, but she refused to lose her drive, her zest for life, and maybe most importantly, her sense of humor. Now at 35, with only a sliver of sight and significantly deteriorated hearing, she's a psychotherapist with 2 master's degrees from Columbia University, an athlete who teaches spin classes and regularly competes in extreme endurance races. She greets each day as if it were a gift, with boundless energy, innate curiosity, and a strength of spirit that have led to places she can't even imagine. David O. Russell and John Krasinski are attached as producers, though they are unlikely to direct the adaptation, which is being penned by Lindsay Ferrentino. Dylan, does this project catch your attention and your wallet monies?
I would slightly invest because I feel like it's, as an investor, it sounds like a movie that could do quite well. I'd invest from that angle. It doesn't sound like something I'd personally want to watch particularly though. So I'd half invest or whatever.
Nick?
Based solely on the pitch, no, because it fucking put me to sleep. But I still wouldn't invest, no.
Still wouldn't invest.
No.
Yeah,
that was an awful pitch.
Yeah, it's just a book synopsis, to be fair. But yeah, it sounds kind of Oscar baity. Like, could be.
It sounds like, depending on how long it's going to be, it just sounds like they've got to cram so much shit into that movie. I
mean, you could tell it any which way you want. I mean,
so have you ever watched Born on the 4th of July? Tom Cruise goes through some shit in that movie.
No, I've not seen that film.
Coming soon to what we end up watching.
So that's every fucking movie I bring up.
So that's been this segment of Would You Want to Invest? Of course, the true testament will be time, and when we see what these films actually do, if they actually come out. So Dylan could potentially win big or lose very heavily if these all suck.
I'll be rich.
All right, so let's move on to our last segment. What did we end up watching? Hey, Dylan, what did we end up watching?
We ended up watching Battle Royale.
生き残る価値のある大人になりましょうバトルロワイヤル
Battle the movie that spurred the famous video game format.
Yes. The film from the year 2000, which is a Japanese dystopian thriller directed by Kinji Fukasaku, which in the future, the Japanese government captures a class of 9th grade students and forces them to kill each other under the Revolutionary Battle Royale Act. Dylan, this was your pick. Was there any specific reason why this film came up?
I was talking to one buddy Watson one night. He said, "Hey, have you watched Battle Royale?" And I said, "No."
What were you playing at the time?
The Division. Calm down.
Not a Battle Royale.
No, a Battle Royale. And I was like, "No, I haven't watched it." He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, I thought you might have." And I'm like, "No, but it's been on the list for a while." And then we looked up where it was available. And I was like, "Fuck yeah, I might rent it. It's on the PlayStation Store for $3." So then I rented it. And then I was like, I should just make this my pick for the week. And that was how we got there. That was a very enthralling story.
Yeah, it certainly was.
Behind the scenes.
So, Nick, what do you think of the Battle Royale?
From what I remember of it, I really enjoyed it.
What do you mean what you remember of it?
This is the first Nick hasn't watched the movie in the past 2 weeks.
How do you not watch the movie?
I didn't get a chance.
Because he had to watch Highwaymen.
You watched the
Exactly.
fucking Highwaymen.
Yeah, I wanted to watch that again. Not before. For the first time.
You hear that? That's the disappointment of our listeners.
When did you watch it
That's
then?
the sound I hear all the time.
Oh.
A few years ago now.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
how do you feel about the film? Does it live up to the moniker of the... It sort of was built up because it was rated R and sort of is this massive violent thing.
I think the reason I watched it originally was because
Hunger Games?
about the Hunger Games, and this is what is inspired from. It was before the whole gaming genre boomed, I guess. But yeah, I really enjoyed from what I remember of it. I like that it doesn't only focus on the, I guess, protagonist in quotes, that it focuses on a lot of the different people involved, I guess.
Yep. So Dylan, what do you think as someone who watched it freshly?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was okay. I don't think it lived up to its heightened love, but I guess that's kind of because of its age. I don't think it's aged great.
One thing, I was surprised it's from 2000. For some reason, I thought it was like an 80s movie or something.
It does feel like it's filmed in the 80s, and I think that just must be a budgetary thing.
Yeah, I
somewhat,
suspect
but
it was.
It's very cheaply made, and some shots... There's one shot in particular where I swear they must have been filming on a $50 Dick Smith tripod, because you could tell it as they're rotating it and turning it in the shot, it gets caught for a second and there's a stagger as they're trying to move the camera around. I'm like, that's a weird thing to include that no one noticed, that they didn't just reshoot the scene or anything like that. So very, yeah. So that a few things give away the age of it. Characters were good. I thought none of them were stereotypical for what I consider. They may be stereotypical for Japanese culture at the time, I guess. But I feel like from my perspective, none of the characters reminded me of stereotypical American characters I'd quite often see. I guess apart from there's a guy and they're running away. But then at the same time, it's set in a world where everyone's running away and just leaving school and doing whatever they want. It doesn't have the obviously your jocks and your whatever else, because that sort of stuff's grown out of it. That's kind of the setup, I guess. Everyone's just kind of leaving school, and the one girl's apparently it's one girl who's got to come into class and be like, yeah, I want to learn, and then that teacher ends up being the one who inflicts this pain upon them, I guess, by the sets up the whole Battle Royale and stuff. The first thing though I want to mention is I start the movie, the main character, who's played by Tatsuya Fujiwara. As soon as the movie starts, I go, I know that guy from something. And I'm sitting there thinking, I think that's the motherfucker who plays Light in the Death Note movie. And I look it up, and that's the guy who plays Light in the live-action Death Note movie. So now I'm like, he must be a real famous actor over there in all these movies. There you go. Also, I think it's, I can't remember which one it is, Chikaya Chiaki Kuriyomi. Oh fuck, I can't say her name.
Apologies to
But
all our Japanese speaking.
I'm really, really sorry. But she plays Gogo in Kill Bill, and apparently, the reason she got cast in that movie in the first place is because Quentin Tarantino watched this when it released, and I think till this day he still says it's like one of his favorite films of all time. So like he cast her in Kill Bill after watching this and stuff. There's some behind the scenes interesting trivia, but it's an interesting premise. I feel like I've seen so many different variations of it before I've watched the origin, I guess. So it kind of
Is it the origin?
Well, I mean, the book's the origin, I guess, somewhat. I'm
like
sure
the
other
concept
places-
of throwing people in a...
It's probably been done before, but I feel like this was the first
Gladiator.
version of it. Yeah, well, like the whole island and
Yeah,
like,
that's true,
government, children, etc., etc., etc. It's got like obviously a lot of political undertones. Like
Very
to do
true.
with it.
Old people hate young people. That's the running thread.
Pretty much, it's like stay in school.
And young people don't like old people.
Yeah. There's
Relevant.
a sequel that came out a couple years later that's the director Kinji
Yeah, so the thing is, the director...
died while filming it.
Yeah, he died after shooting like one scene.
Yep. Yeah.
He died of
is,
prostate cancer.
Yeah. It's not very funny, but at the same
Yeah,
time,
Nick.
But his son finished the filming of that one. So I'm intrigued enough to want to go watch it because the movie's ending's like, I guess leaves open for a sequel, and that's why they do one. So there's two of these films at this point. It's violent, but it's not as violent as I thought it was going to be, considering everything I'd read about it before. I guess I didn't consider it as violent
because
as,
obviously it was. I think it was banned here for like a few years.
it was banned a lot of places. I feel or something I always gathered when it released.
Nothing really stuck out as being ban worthy. I guess
think it's
other
just
than the
'cause it's
concept of
kids.
kids killing each other. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just because it's like kids being violent to one another, or that's why it was so considered
Controversial.
so bad. I guess, yeah, controversial for the time. Yeah, overall, it was okay. I enjoyed watching it. I definitely feel like watching it out of its time period, and having watched like Hunger Games and like constantly not being able to think about Battle Royale video game jokes while watching it, kind of made the experience a lot different than if I'd watched it X amount of years ago. But I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It just hearing you talk about that, it kind of echoes kind of the same things you're saying about Citizen Kane as well.
I like Citizen Kane more than this.
No, but in the sense of like out of its time and context, in that sort of way.
I agree, but weirdly enough, well, maybe not weirdly enough, I would say Citizen Kane holds up better than this because it
didn't rely on gore effects.
Yeah, I mean, like, other than the black and white thing and some whatever sorts of stuff, I like, obviously you're watching Citizen Kane, you can tell it's old, but it didn't seem as old as it was. Whereas this seemed, as Ash just said before, we're watching it, and similar to him, it felt like an 80s movie. Like, it felt a lot older than what it actually is, whereas Citizen Kane just felt like as old as it is, if you know what I mean. So it's aged correctly. Yeah. Sometimes it is hard to watch certain things out of their certain time and being able to judge them for what they are because you're so far ahead of them. I don't think that's a bad thing one way or another. It just depends on the movie and stuff. And I definitely feel like if I'd watched this 5 years ago even, I probably would have liked it more than watching it now, I feel.
Overall, I enjoyed it. I think at first it was like slow going as I was sort of setting everything up, and I felt like it didn't get hooked into me till like halfway through. We should also point out that we watched the director's cut edition, which I don't know, it might be the only edition you can watch anywhere.
Oh, we could find, yeah.
Yeah. Which has a bunch of weird... It constantly cuts back to this basketball game, which I found an odd choice throughout the whole thing. There are a few other differences. There's a bunch of requiems at the end, which were also odd.
They were weird, yes.
Yeah, they were weird.
And the movie ends, and then it does Return of the King 16 endings.
But yeah, there were a bunch of nice, interesting characters. there's some characters who are only in there for like 10 minutes to have they have some short story. The problem with this, you don't care for really anybody other than the protagonists, the main couple. Because this other guy dies with two separate girls. He tells one he loves her or whatever, and I didn't really care. It's like, oh, no, doesn't matter. Kill scenes wise, they were fine. I liked the scene with the soup. That took an interesting turn.
Who caused that girl to die?
Yeah, who?
We don't know.
Cook?
We still don't know.
Or the person who was holding the soup and put poison in it.
I don't know. It's up for debate still. The other thing I was going to say, I just remembered. I would like to. You're talking about like no characters or anything really stand out. Although Takeshi Kitano, who plays the teacher, I think
he was really
stands out apart from everyone else. Yeah, such a loud character.
And such an asshole too. Like about. Like, so dismissive and sort of, at least in that initial scene where they're setting everything up. Obviously, he has a very, very valid reason for not liking his kids after getting stabbed in the butt.
Fucking sliced across the back, yeah?
Yeah, so, but then he goes and just straight up murders people. I guess this is kind of, we'll talk about spoilers now, because I want to talk about the ending. So, spoilers for Battle Royale. From 2000, it's old. They never explained what happened with the kids. Why the three of them got to all finish as sole survivors. How did they pull that off? They didn't explain it at all.
Nope. But they don't explain a lot in the movie.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
It didn't really bother me. It was just another... What happened? They tricked the system somehow, I guess. It's kind of like Hunger Games, except for they don't actually show you. You know, in Hunger Games where they trick the system, they show you how they do it. In this, they just cut away, and then they're like, yeah. Well, I mean, they make the gun go off, but they cut away before the person shoots the gun. So then everyone back at base says, oh, we heard gunshots. Let's go check up on the body and make sure the body's alive.
No, let's just check these sensors that we have. Or was it still... No, they would have rebooted the system.
He showed them how to turn their neck braces off, remember?
Did he? Well,
because he at the end the teacher points out, he's like, oh, you learned how to do it, and then when the other two, the girl and the main guy, walk in, they all just unclip theirs and take them off, like they already deactivated them. Yeah, so it kind of makes sense. You just have to assume he held the gun to him, pulled the trigger, and then they went quiet. I don't know.
Deactivated the things or whatever.
Yeah, you can piece it together somewhat. Yeah,
I don't know. And then I thought it was. I don't know if it was intentionally funny or not, but the teacher guy, when he gets shot multiple times, and then gets up to answer the phone.
The phone starts ringing. He just waddles over. Hello, wife? Yeah, fuck you. I hate you. Hangs up, dies.
After his body's been riddled with bullets. Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite weird.
So funny. Yeah. And then all the requiems were kind of weird. They were kind of like pretty much just showed footage from earlier in the film. Except for the scene where the main girl and the teacher are talking. And she says she took the knife that was used to stab him in the butt. And
she's keeping it.
Yeah. And she's like really happy about it.
I got the knife that you were stabbed with. It's in my desk.
It means a lot to me.
Don't tell anyone. It means a lot to me. And he's like, okay, we're already having a weird teacher-student relationship here. I was walking along the beach having ice creams, but sure.
Yeah, that was a weird relationship that never sort of fully got explained or explored.
It never went too weird to the point that I'm like, So I was okay with it, but yeah, like at the end where they're like walking along and...
The freaking painting.
Yeah, the painting was a bit weird. It never went sexual or like hinted at sexual, which is
not
why
that storyline.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was Battle Royale.
I was about to say that the synopsis for the second one, which I haven't watched yet, but I think I will, by the way, in case you didn't look it up, is 3 years after the failure of the last Battle Royale program, a second act is forged and a class of students are sent to an island with one objective: kill international terrorist Shuya Nanahara, which is the main guy.
That does sound interesting. Yeah. I guess that means they get captured. Or
I don't know. $2.99 on PlayStation though.
it is intriguing. Yeah. Yeah. Battle Royale 2 coming soon too.
Don't fucking shush.
Well, you'll probably just talk about it in the general section. We won't. But yes, that's the end of this episode of What Do You Want to Watch? Nick, where can people find you on Trakt and definitely not on Twitter?
Lord and Prior.
Dill, where can people find you on Trakt and also on Twitter?
You can do all the things at Vivaladil, VIVALADIL.
You can also follow me on Twitter and on Trakt at Ashley Hobley, ASHLEYHOBLEY. You can follow the Explosion Network, which is as part of at Explosion Pods. Follow us on Twitch over at twitch.tv/Explosion Network, or you can go over to youtube.com/Explosion Network where you can find our review discussions, which we mentioned before about Shazam. You can head over to our Discord at explosionnetwork.com/Discord, where we occasionally talk about movies and Nick drops free games that you can go download at different places. If you've got any recommendations for segments, if you've got any movies that you want us to mostly invest in, fakely, like theoretically invest in, not actually, because we're struggling. Mail at explosionnetwork.com, and also just go to explosionnetwork.com for all our content, including our reviews of Shazam and Pet Sematary and Us.
Watch our Queer Eye review discussion.
That was a thing as well. And if you want to help us out, head over to Apple Podcasts or Podchaser. Leave us a review, preferably 5 stars. It's always helpful. Or just tell your friends that we explained how the Battle Royale genre started with our discussion of Battle Royale, the movie from 2000. Japanese dystopian thriller. Alright, until next time. Keep watching stuff, I guess. Every trophy counts, or at least that's what Dylan would like you to believe. Join him and me every Tuesday when a shiny new episode of Platinum Explosion dings into podcast feeds. The #1 PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias breaks down all the latest in PlayStation-related news, releases, trophy lists, and much more. Just search your podcast app for Platinum Explosion and subscribe for free now.
You can do all the things at Vivaladil, VIVALADIL.
What? Yeah, that's right.
Don't doubt me, motherfucker.
Are you okay tonight, Ashley? The daylight savings change is really screwed with you.
It's going to be a big job.